Hello, everybody. This is the Chocolate News Podcast. And I'm your co-host, John Alexander Reese. And if you didn't know, the Cincinnati Herald has been around since 1955 and is the leading African-American owned newspaper in the greater Cincinnati area and northern Kentucky area. And today we have with us our digital correspondent, Andria Carter. How's it going, Andria?
It's fine, John. How are you doing?
I am doing good. I'm loving this rainy weather.
I'm just like I've been watching it and it's just been rain. We've had so much rain. I'm kind of like, what happened to April showers? Now we're looking at May, June showers. It's been
Yeah,
like unbelievable.
I know. It's great.
Every single time I
So,
turn around, I see the maintenance guy cutting the grass. So I mean, come on. So
yeah. Okay. So, Andrea, what's the chocolate news of the week?
well, John, it's kind of like reactionary. I'll start out with the Proud Boys. The former top leader of the far right Proud Boys extremist group and other members were charged with seditious conspiracy for what the federal prosecutors say was a coordinated attack on the U.S. Capitol to stop the Congress from certifying President Joe Biden's 2020 electoral victory. This is a coup.
Yep.
The Proud Boys were a key member of the band that charged the Congress. Well, I should say, charged the Capitol, trying to get into the House of Representatives chambers, and then they got into the Senate chambers. This is big because never has a far right group has been charged with sedition before. So, and this is kind of coming on the eve of the first public hearing of the January 6th House Committee, where we're going to hear testimony about what happened. And it seems that they have a lot more in-depth information of what happened on January 6th. And more it's coming out that even though Trump tried to dissuade that he was not fully part of it, yeah, he was. The Proud Boys, they were known to talk with Trump supposedly during the planning of this and things like that. And 3 Oath Keepers have already pleaded guilty to the rarely used Civil War era charge that calls for up to 20 years in prison. The Oath Keepers and their associates prepared in the weeks leading up to the January 6th as they were going to war, discussing things like weapons and training. So a lot of these extremist groups that charged the Capitol were finding out that they planned it. They talked with legislatures. They talked with a lot of key people to plan this. So it's going to be interesting what the January 6th report comes out regarding the attack on the Capitol, what transpired, the timeline, and everything else. So I think tomorrow, we have to sit up and listen. I know everyone's tired of it, but I think we need to take notice that if we want our democracy to continue, then we need to stop and remember why we like America, why America works, and why we need everyone to be equal, and why we need doesn't like everybody, but that means you need to respect them. And our right to vote is just as important as your right to vote. And just because you don't like change does not mean give you the right to charge the Capitol.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I know there's been some other talk where I think Trump is desperate because the door is closing, or I should say the wall is closing in on him, because he's going to have to testify under oath in the civil trial that's about to happen regarding his business. So he's starting to feel the pinch of people taking a look at him and eventually taking responsibility for what he has done. And there are a lot of people out there who believe in what he had to say, but I think as the wool is removed from everyone's eyes, they'll see the truth. Some will accept it, some won't. There are a lot of people out there who don't like change. And my thing is, well, you don't like change, that's fine. But everyone doesn't like change, but you
Mhm.
have to live with it.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people are experiencing what Black people have experienced for decades in voting. We voted for certain people and our issues never got taken care of. Maybe a little bit here, a little bit there, here and there, our issues got taken care of. But overall, we vote and nothing changes. Well, people are starting to find out that as our movement goes through and we start getting certain things where our issues are being taken care of, people don't like that and they can't accept it. And I think it's a little sad that, change is hard, but change, you have to accept change, whether you like it or not. And you can't stamp your foot and be that spoiled little boy or little girl and make someone change to the way you want it, because that's what makes you feel comfortable. When you've lived a life as long as we have of being uncomfortable, we've gotten comfortable being uncomfortable, but we've accepted it. And we continue to live our lives knowing that we'll find a way to get what we need done so we can continue with our lives. People who have never been put in that position before and are put in that position now just need to accept it and grow up. Because big boys and big girls accept fate and move on.
Yeah.
We may lash out, we may get angry, we may pitch a fit and everything else, but at the end of the day, we continue to live our lives and we don't let it stop us.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think that's the brilliance of the Black community. We have endurance.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have that endurance, which is kind of sad. But anyway, so that's the Proud Boys.
Good riddance.
Good riddance. I always say this: everyone has the right to say what they say. Everyone has, whether it's harmful or not, they have the right to say.
Yeah.
But don't cause harm.
Yeah.
And they caused harm.
Yeah.
And when you start affecting our democracy, everyone needs to take up and take notice. The St. Francis Church, Catholic Church in Nigeria, gunmen went in and shot and killed 50 people, men, women, and children in this church. We don't know why the attack occurred. This mass shooting in Nigeria occurred in an area that was known for its peacefulness, was known to not have any type of violence occur. It was kind of like a safe space. It's kind of like Sweden. It's neutral. Right. Nothing happens. And then unfortunately, some folks came in, it was a coordinated attack, both inside and outside the church. And they unfortunately escaped and left this aftermath. There is a manhunt on to find who did this, but it's very hard when you leave very few witnesses behind. No one has claimed responsibility for the church killings. And also the gunman detonated some kind of explosive, according to witnesses. It is scores of people were wounded. The number has not been released on how many people were wounded. It is terrorist in nature. Some people said the brutality of it is just sad. And, it's just kind of like the world has gone to hell in a handbasket. They just don't know why this has occurred. Nigeria, I did not even know this. Nigeria has over 206 million people.
I had no idea.
I didn't know it was that large. I mean, a lot of African countries have a number of people. A lot of them, some states are poorer than others. And I know there's been a lot of extremists, rebels, Islamic rebels going through Nigeria, and I think some of them have been used as training grounds and things like that. Islamic extremists have been around Nigeria for a while. Boko Haram is the one that I think everyone knows the most because they're the ones that have kidnapped the young ladies before. And they're an offshoot of the Islamic State of West Africa. And these extremists have killed over 35,000 people by the UN count. And they are fighting to establish Sharia law and stop Western education. And I think we've heard this before in which Middle Eastern country am I thinking of? Afghanistan. They don't like the Western influence on their people. They think that the Western influence is sinful. Women have rights. Certain people get educated when they don't want them educated, especially women. And it's kind of sad when you want to take everyone back to a time period of where men ruled and everyone else cowered.
Yeah.
But if you remember correctly, every single time you have a state like that, people rise up and it changes
Yeah.
because people want more than just be cowards. They want to be more than just doing what somebody says. So, I mean, it's kind of sad. We will keep everybody up to date on this case. I think it hurts me because it's a Catholic church. The foundation of the Catholic Church is about peace, unity, and honoring the honoring the Holy Trinity, with is God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And in the middle of it is the Virgin Mary, is Mary, of the mother of Jesus. But over it all, it's about serving peace, honoring thy neighbor, and helping those who can't help themselves. That is the basic foundation about the Catholic Church and about saving life. Though some people take it to the extreme, like any religion, some issues need to be more modern because of the day and time that we live in. But it's kind of sad when Africa is one of the fastest growing areas within the Catholic Church. And to see this occur is just heartbreaking.
All I have to say is that you're a special kind of evil if you shoot up any place of religion. That's all I have to say. It's like, look, you cannot be religious, or you could be like a different faith from the other. But if you decide to shoot up like a synagogue or a church or a mosque or whatever, that there are just some unspeakable evil things to do. And that's just one of the unspeakable evil things to do. That's all I have to say about that. I hope
I agree with you. I believe any house of worship, whether it's, like you said, a mosque, a synagogue, a church, even if it's a temple, a Buddhist temple, or even if it's just an altar where you have incense and you're chanting, that is a sign that should be a neutral territory where people can go for sanctuary, people can go for peace of mind, people can go for spiritual healing. And it's kind of like when you disgrace that, what does it say about you as a human being? Have we got sunk so low now that even the traditional figures of what we respect are no longer respectful? What happens then when the symbols of our lives are disgraced to such a degree? Where do we go? What do we do? And I think this is what this represents. There's a decay going on in the world that we need to counter, and no one's countering it enough. Even though we're talking about Nigeria, I want to point out with people that the hearing occurred today in the House of Representatives. The committee held a hearing on gun violence, I should say. And it was about the several people who survived or were victimized by the Uvalde, Texas shooting in the school, spoke today, and it was heartbreaking. From the doctor who treated victims, 11-year-old girl who survived the shooting, who suffers from such severe PTSD that she's scared to go outside, she's scared to go into a school building, she jumps at every single noise. She is so traumatized, it's going to take a lot of therapy to help her get through this. You heard from the mother who was there to see her daughter get honored. Actually, both her children get honored for their success in school. They see them get their certificates. And she had promised her daughter that she would get ice cream when she got home for dinner that night. She said goodbye to her daughter and said, "Don't worry, I'll come back and pick you up." And an hour later, she was dead. And she's suffering from mother's guilt of the fact that she left her daughter in school to go to work. And where, it was a day of celebration. And she said that she could have taken her daughter out of school and said, "Come on, let's go get the ice cream. You can spend the day at home. You've been successful. You don't have to stay in school anymore. It is the end of the day. Come on." She didn't do that. Enjoy your last day at school. I will be there. We will celebrate. Look forward to it. And that's how she said goodbye to her daughter, because that picture that we've seen of her little girl around the world was the last picture she ever took of her daughter 1 hour before she died. So it's kind of sad, but also the Department of Justice announced this morning that he's appointed a I think he said a 6 or 9 member team that's going to investigate the shooting, but also investigate how the police responded to the shooting. Because the police chief did not have a radio on him. He did not know that people were calling 911. He was telling everyone not to go in. He even held back the federal agents until they decided to go in anyway. And and then they finally confronted the guy and shot him. And it's just kind of sad that there was so many of no, don't rush in, when the training is you do rush in and you handle it, and then later on you assess. So there's that. So we're just going to keep everybody up to date as the investigation continues, and hopefully the House of Representatives and the Senate will pull together some sort of gun law legislation on top of all the gun laws that we have now to make it harder for people to get AR-17s, because what do you need an automatic weapon for?
Yeah.
Nobody needs it. And then also, it's unfortunate our Supreme Court justices are subjected to threats. A man was arrested outside of Justice Kavanaugh's house, threatening to kill him, as the decision of the courts looming regarding Roe v. Wade. And unfortunately, this man was carrying a gun, a knife, and zip ties. He was arrested near Justice Brett Kavanaugh's house in Maryland. He was identified in a criminal complaint charging him with the attempted murder of a Supreme Court justice. He was dressed in black when he arrived by taxi. That's what kills me. He arrived by taxi. Just after 1 a.m. outside Kavanaugh's house in the Washington suburb. He had a Glock 17 pistol, ammunition, a knife, zip ties, pepper spray, duct tape, and other items that he told police he would use to break into Kavanaugh's house and kill him.
Jeez.
Which I'm like,
yeah. I mean, look, I don't like Brett Kavanaugh. I just get a bad feeling about him. And I think the accusations against him were true. But at the same time, I'm not going to go outside his house with a gun and some zip ties and threaten to kill him. He's a crazy man. I mean, it's like, I don't care who, I don't like Clarence Thomas either. But it's like, I'm not going to go outside Clarence Thomas's house and do the same thing. It's like, you can not like people, but don't threaten people with violence. It's like, that's just insane. It's like, I don't know why people, well, obviously this guy was off his rocker, but I'm just like, I wish people would just think things through first. That's all I'm saying. It's like, do you know how this is going to end? Come on, man. Just think about it.
I mean, we're just lucky that 2 U.S. Marshals who are part of the round-the-clock security for the justices spotted him getting out of a taxi.
Yeah.
Okay, that number one that kills me, he got out of a taxi.
Yeah, I know.
No. I mean, it kind of reminds you of that movie. Oh, what is that Tom Cruise movie with Jamie Foxx as the driver of the taxi?
Collateral.
You have to think about these things, how someone is innocent and put in a situation of transporting someone who's thinking about doing something bad.
Yeah.
And he pulls you into it, and you could be charged as an accessory.
Exactly.
And I didn't know when I first heard about this story, I was like, oh, okay. I heard about what he had on him. I was like, oh, that's bad. But I did not know he arrived as by taxi.
Yeah.
I was like, if I was gonna plan something like that, I think I would have my own ride to be able to get away. Unless he is going to steal Kavanaugh's car, just things. It's always interesting to me how people, what they're thinking when they plan stuff like this. And I'm like, I read crime dramas, and I read about, I have this one favorite crime drama. I have a police lieutenant who is in charge of the homicide division, and she runs these ops. And the planning that she goes through into these ops. So when you hear like stuff like this, I'm like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Why did you cover all your bases? Now, mind you, she's planning an op to arrest someone.
Right.
But she's covering, just in case what ifs.
Yeah.
He ride by taxi.
Yeah.
He didn't cover his what ifs.
Yeah.
He just spotted, I'm doing this. he was so focused on the act that he was not thinking about security. He was not thinking about who else might be out there at night. He was not thinking about the taxi cab driver implementing him in something that he had known nothing about.
Yeah.
But still, I'm glad they said taxi, not Uber driver. That would have been even uglier.
Oh God, yes.
But I think at the end of the day, just because, again, going back to what we said before about the Proud Boys, just because you don't like what someone is doing or the changes in the country, that does not give you the right to charge a capital. It doesn't give you a right to go and threaten someone.
Yes.
I think really, truly, we are having a huge history lesson right now. It's almost like deja vu of what Black people went through prior to the civil rights movement.
Right.
And how people endured the Jim Crow laws, endured severe racism, endured having to use separate toilets and separate water fountains and other stuff like that. And we didn't like what was going on, but we worked through it and we lived through it. And the stress of it all weighed heavily on the families, but we got through it. And bring it forward to today. I know some people think I'm crazy for compared to what we Black people went through, but the situation in terms of the society is moving in a direction you don't like. And basically what we've always told people, if you don't like what's happening, go vote. That's your one shot to change what's going on and let your voice be heard. Even if it gets drowned out, you still registered your vote of yes or no. To go and kill or threaten a justice because you don't like what they're about to do. They haven't even done it yet. They haven't even made the decision yet. But what they're about to do says something about you. Again, that bratty moment of saying, I want it done my way. No, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to take care of it. You don't do it like that. Exactly. You just vote people who represent you to make a change in who our leadership is on the court. That's all you got. That's the system that's been set up, unless, of course, the Supreme Court is expanded, which I think it should be. But
I think so too. And just people have to just remember, violence is never the answer. It's just not. Just I don't know what some people.
At the end of the day, I mean, if you think about it, at the end of the day of a violent act, you have someone dead or wounded, you have someone charged, and you have those families decimated because of this act that you did. And the repercussions of that act continue for days. It's kind of like the spate of gun violence that's going on around the country right now. Everyone's looking at the root cause of why it's happening. And I think when you break it all down, we live in a basic overview. If I'm going to play psychology 101, because we live in an on-demand world, people find it easier to do the easiest thing to resolve what you don't like. I know some people will not agree with me on that, but when you're not taught, when we don't teach conflict resolution anymore in schools, or parents don't teach their children how to resolve conflict, whether it's arguing or, okay, if you get into a fight, hit them and walk away, or, whatever, how you teach your child conflict resolution, it's not pick up a gun and shoot it. That doesn't resolve anything. That just causes more problems.
Yeah.
You want to resolve the issue so there's less problems and less of a situation, not greater. And the way everyone is going, they're creating greater issues than lesser issues. And I think that's the biggest point that's being missed today in what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
But how do you stop it? That's the thing. How do you stop it? What happened where we're ended up with this than that? But on a wonderful note, Ohio State, this is good news.
Yes.
Hot and chocolate news and good news. Ohio State has offered a scholarship to the son of the late Bengals wide receiver, Chris Henry. Now, I think a few people may not remember Chris Henry. Chris Henry was this promising Bengals player. Is he I'm trying to remember what happened to him. Was he the one who was riding on the back of a truck and fell off and hit his head?
Yes, that was him.
Okay, which I thought was kind of sad.
Very sad, especially when they found out that it was related to CTE. So
yes,
that was very sad.
that's a whole nother issue to talk about.
Yes, true.
But I think the fact that this Chris Henry Jr. is very promising as he's going to be a freshman wide receiver for Ohio State. He got a college scholarship, and I think we're going to see great things out of this young man. But I think Ohio State is doing a good thing in offering this kid a scholarship. Obviously, they see something in him to groom him to be a good college football player.
Definitely.
And he's going to be on the varsity team, which is rare for a freshman to be on the varsity team.
Yeah, all I gotta say is that he must have some really good skills. That's all I gotta say. He must be amazing.
Well, I think his daddy's looking out for him.
Yeah.
He must have some really, to be a good defensive end takes a lot of good hard work.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And to be instinctive, to run, to defend, and I'm gonna have to watch. I don't normally watch Ohio State football.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I'm not gonna give away my Ohio card, so I'm just gonna say I have watched Ohio State football play. My cousin is a true believer in the team, so I watch it with her when I can.
Right.
And they've had some good teams over the years, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does on this team and how he responds to the plays and direction, and see what he can do. I'm looking forward to seeing him play. So
yeah, me too.
And that is the chocolate news for today.
Well, thank you very much, Andria. So that's it for today's show. And thank you, Andria, for coming on and discussing all of this good chocolate news.
Well, it's always my pleasure, whether it's good or bad. It's something that we need to discuss. There's so many issues going on today. You just never know what the chocolate news is going to come up with next.
So true. Remember, folks, you can find more information about today's topics and past podcast episodes at www.thecincinnatiherald.com, the Sesh newsletter, or on our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. Our podcast is available on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Amazon, YouTube, and Google Podcasts. I'm John Alexander Reese, and have a good day.